Have you ever felt that there's a greater life waiting for you? One filled with purpose, prosperity, and divine favor. What if the key to unlocking it has been hidden in plain sight for centuries? Today we reveal the lost prayer of people, Solomon, the sacred wisdom that can transform your life, guide your decisions, and align you with your divine inheritance. This is not just a story. This is a journey of awakening, a step into abundance, and a call to remember who you truly are. If you're ready to stop seeking and start receiving, stay with us, because your life is about to change. The prayer that was never lost. For centuries, humanity has been searching for the missing piece that unlocks abundance, peace, and divine order. Countless prayers have been whispered into the night sky, some seeking healing, some longing for comfort, and many pleading for provision. Yet among these sacred utterances, there exists a class of prayer that is different, uncommon, and profound. It is not a plea. It is not even a request. It is a declaration, an activation, a frequency that reshapes reality itself. One such prayer has traveled through history, cloaked in mystery, whispered in the chambers of kings, and preserved in the hearts of mystics. It has resurfaced in our time as a reminder that wealth, prosperity, and favor are not distant hopes, but divine inheritances. This is what many call the lost prayer of Solomon. Why call it lost? Not because it disappeared, but because we as a people forgot how to recognize it. We lost the posture required to speak it. We lost the understanding that prayer was never meant to be begging but commanding. We lost the authority to declare abundance as a child of divine law. In truth, the prayer was never buried. It was hidden in plain sight, concealed not by secrecy, but by our own disbelief. And today, the moment you allow yourself to listen with your heart open, something stirs. You sense that there is more to prayer than words mumbled in desperation. You feel that prayer can be a code, a system, a spiritual algorithm that unlocks doors you thought were sealed shut. When you hear the words of this prayer, you may at first dismiss it as mystical poetry. But if you pause, if you listen deeper, you realize it holds architecture. Every phrase has weight. Every line aligns with what Solomon himself embodied, a wisdom so deep that wealth flowed to him without struggle, without toil. Solomon did not chase gold. He attracted it through divine favor. This is the pattern encoded in the prayer. It is not superstition. It is not magic. It is spiritual law in motion, waiting for the one who dares to activate it. Think about your own journey. How many times have you prayed and wondered if heaven was silent? How often have you worked harder, hoped, stronger, only to see no breakthrough? If you are honest, there have been nights when you lay in bed staring at the ceiling with that knot in your chest, fear whispering that you are forgotten, that abundance is for others, but not for you. Yet here lies the deeper truth: you were never forgotten. You were misaligned. You were praying as a servant when you were meant to decree as a sovereign. Florence Scovel, a woman whose teachings awakened thousands in the 20th century, echoed this same truth. She taught that words carry authority, and that what you speak with conviction becomes established. She insisted that your word is your wand, and when wielded with belief, it commands reality to conform. This was not theory for her. It was tested, lived, and proven. People around her saw miracles unfold simply because they dared to align their words with divine authority. She tapped into the same current Solomon once walked in, a current that does not bow to effort but responds to alignment. This is why the lost prayer matters. It is not a string of sentences but a spiritual frequency that carries wealth, favor, and opportunity into your field of life. It is a shift from scarcity to overflow, from hoping to knowing. And the first key to unlocking it is recognizing that you are not broken, you are not unlucky, you are not forgotten. You are simply remembering what was always yours. Now imagine this: as you open yourself to this prayer, you begin to see signs. Numbers repeat on clocks and receipts. Dreams whisper symbols into your sleep. A strange warmth fills your chest when you speak the words with authority. These are not coincidences. They are confirmations that the universe, obedient and precise, has heard your decree. From that moment forward, you are no longer chasing after wealth. Wealth begins chasing after you. And yet the challenge is this: you must approach this prayer not as superstition, not as ritual, but as law. Gravity does not care whether you believe in it. It functions regardless. In the same way, divine law does not bend to doubt or fear. It responds only to alignment. To step into alignment is to speak with authority, to declare what is already yours, and to reject the illusions of lack that have bound you for years. This is the awakening, the realization that prayer was never about convincing God to give you scraps of blessing. It was always about remembering who you are, stepping into the posture of divine inheritance, and speaking reality into being. The lost prayer of Solomon is not a new revelation. It is an ancient reminder. It is the same song sung by kings, prophets, and mystics. It is a code waiting for your voice to activate it. So as we begin this journey, pause and breathe. Let go of yesterday's doubt. Release the guilt that told you wealth was not spiritual. Empty yourself of the belief that you are unworthy. Because the moment you dare to believe that you were made to reign, the moment you whisper this prayer not as a plea but as a command, the world will respond. And not slowly. Sometimes, instantly. Signs, opportunities, and numbers will align as proof that your words are seeds, and the harvest is now inevitable. The question is no longer will it work. The question is, will you speak it with authority? For once you do, you will never see prayer the same way again. Why prayers seem to fail? For many, prayer has been a lifelong practice, yet a painful mystery. People kneel at their bedside, whisper words into silence, and walk away, still carrying the same burdens they hope to release. When bills remain unpaid, when opportunities collapse, when healing never arrives, doubt creeps in like a shadow. Was God listening? Was the prayer too small, too weak, or too unworthy? These are the questions that torment those who have prayed earnestly but seen little change. The truth, however, is not that prayer fails. It is that most people were never taught how prayer actually functions. Prayer is not meant to be begging. It is not an act of pleading with the heavens, hoping that some distant hand of mercy will notice your desperation. Instead, prayer is meant to be a declaration of alignment with divine law, an activation of spiritual authority already embedded within you. When this principle is forgotten, prayers become hollow. They hold the form, but not the power. Think of a car without an engine. From the outside, it looks complete, shiny, polished, structured. But when you sit inside and turn the key, nothing moves. The form is present, but the force is missing. This is how most prayers are spoken. They carry the appearance of devotion, but lack the engine of authority. People say the words, but deep inside, fear still vibrates. Doubt whispers louder than faith. Scarcity echoes louder than divine truth. The result is a prayer that looks right, but goes nowhere. Florence Scovel addressed this very issue when she declared that prayer without authority is powerless. She taught that words must be spoken as commands, not wishes. For her, prayer was not about convincing a reluctant God, but about aligning with a law that was always waiting to be activated. Just as gravity does not ask for permission to work, divine law does not withhold its power. It responds precisely to the vibration of your words and the belief beneath them. This is why so many well-meaning people have felt abandoned by their own prayers. They were taught to approach prayer from weakness instead of strength. Religion often reinforced the posture of servitude. You are unworthy, you are guilty, you must beg to be forgiven. Yet the teachings of Solomon and Florence reveal the opposite. You are not a servant crawling for scraps. You are a child of divine inheritance, and your words carry weight in the unseen realm. When you pray from fear, you unknowingly reinforce fear. When you plead from lack, you affirm lack. The universe, obedient and exact, mirrors back the vibration you release. This is why people say, "I never receive what I ask for." The truth is, they are receiving exactly what they spoke, not their words, but their underlying vibration of doubt and need. In this sense, every prayer works. The problem is that most prayers work against the one who speaks them. Consider this. How many times have you asked for financial breakthrough, but then immediately worried about debt? How often have you prayed for opportunity, but then told yourself, "It probably won't happen for me"? Those words, even if whispered, internally are still commands. They still vibrate in the unseen and shape what you receive. You may have been praying for abundance while unconsciously commanding scarcity. This is why the lost prayer of Solomon is so powerful. It does not allow room for weakness. It is not a plea but a decree. It forces you to step into authority and speak from alignment, not anxiety. Its very structure demands clarity and certainty. When you recite it with belief, it overrides the subconscious programming of lack and reprograms your reality with wealth, favor, and divine flow. Let's return to Solomon himself. The scriptures never describe him as one who begged for riches. He did not chase money. Instead, he aligned with wisdom, and wealth naturally followed. His life became a living example that prosperity is not earned by striving, but attracted through alignment with divine law. Florence, centuries later, echoed this principle when she taught her students to replace words of fear with words of dominion. She told them, "What you decree shall be established." Perhaps this is why your prayers in the past have seemed unanswered, not because they were ignored, but because they were misaligned. You spoke with hope, but carried fear. You prayed with words of faith, but whispered self-doubt in your heart. The law cannot be deceived. It mirrors back the dominant frequency you embody. The shift then is not to stop praying, but to change how you pray, to shift from asking to activating, from hoping to knowing, from pleading to declaring. This is not arrogance. It is alignment. It is stepping into the truth that abundance was never something outside of you waiting to be earned. It was always your inheritance, waiting for your command. Pause here and reflect on your own journey. Can you recall moments when you asked but did not receive? When you prayed and felt abandoned? What if instead of failure, those moments were simply a wake-up call? What if they were divine nudges, inviting you to upgrade your posture, pray with dominion instead of desperation? The reason the lost prayer of Solomon resonates so deeply is because it awakens a forgotten truth. You are not powerless. You are not at the mercy of luck. You are a co-creator with divine law. The authority of your words is greater than the weight of your fears. And the moment you realize this, prayer ceases to be a gamble. It becomes a guarantee, a law in action, a decree that rearranges reality itself. So why do prayers seem to fail? Because most were spoken from misalignment. But once you shift, once you speak with authority, believe with certainty, and act in alignment, failure is no longer possible. The law will respond, as it always has, as it always will. And that response is abundance. Stepping into alignment. Now that you understand why so many prayers seem powerless, the next question arises. How do you step into alignment with divine law so that your words carry authority and your reality responds? This is the bridge between knowledge and transformation. It is not enough to hear about spiritual law. It is not enough to admire Solomon's wisdom or Florence Scovel's teachings. To step into alignment, you must embody the principles, change your posture, and live as one who already walks in divine inheritance. Alignment begins with the recognition of your true identity. You are not a beggar at heaven's gate. You are not a victim of fate waiting to see if fortune smiles upon you. You are not defined by your past struggles, unpaid bills, or seasons of lack. At your core, you are a spiritual being, clothed in human form, connected to divine order, and carrying within you the authority to command reality. To forget this truth is to live small, but to remember it is to awaken. Consider Solomon. He did not inherit abundance simply because he was clever or lucky. His wealth was not the result of endless striving or manipulation. He aligned with wisdom, and wisdom aligned him with wealth. This is not about bypassing effort, but about positioning yourself so that effort becomes fruitful instead of frustrating. When you are aligned, opportunities seem to find you. People show up at the right moment. Numbers, signs, and confirmations appear in patterns that cannot be dismissed as coincidence. Alignment shifts life from struggle into flow. But what does this alignment look like in practice? It begins with your words. Florence Scovel declared that your word is your wand, and she meant it literally. Every word you speak, whether aloud or silently within, is a command shaping your reality. Words of fear instruct the universe to echo fear. Words of abundance instruct the universe to release provision. To step into alignment, you must train your tongue, discipline your thoughts, and guard your internal dialogue. Every sentence becomes either a seed of prosperity or a seed of limitation. The second layer of alignment is belief. Words without belief are hollow. You may declare abundance, but if deep inside you still carry doubt, fear, or guilt, those hidden vibrations will cancel your declarations. Belief is not about wishing harder. It is about embodying the certainty that wealth already belongs to you by divine right. Just as a king does not doubt his throne, you must not doubt your inheritance. When you speak, speak as one who knows. When you visualize, see it as complete. When you pray, declare as if the universe has already responded, because in truth it has. The third layer is action. Alignment is not only spoken, it is lived. You cannot declare wealth, but live in the posture of lack. You cannot speak abundance and then act as though scarcity rules your choices. This does not mean spending recklessly or pretending you are rich. It means embodying the vibration of prosperity in your daily life. Walk with confidence. Treat your possessions with gratitude. Create space for more to flow in. Live as if the system is already working in your favor, because once you align, it is. Many people fail here because they think alignment is only a mental exercise. But alignment is holistic. It involves your words, your emotions, your posture, and your actions. When all of these resonate together, the shift is undeniable. The Prayer of Solomon becomes more than a ritual. It becomes a lifestyle. You move from survival to sovereignty, from hope to authority, from waiting for miracles to walking in them daily. There is also a fourth dimension to alignment: surrender. At first, this may sound like a contradiction. How can you both command reality and surrender at the same time? The difference lies in what you are surrendering. You do not surrender your authority, you surrender your fear. You surrender your attachment to how the miracle must appear. You release the illusion of control, trusting that divine law is precise enough to orchestrate outcomes better than you could imagine. Alignment is both active and receptive, declaring with authority, but also receiving with trust. The story of Clara, the woman who aligned with the prayer and saw her financial reality shift, illustrates this perfectly. She did not merely say the words, she believed them, she wrote them down. She acted in alignment. She allowed herself to feel the energy of abundance before she saw a single dollar. And when the signs appeared, a dream of golden numbers, a nudge to buy a ticket, she obeyed without hesitation. Alignment requires action when the signs come. To ignore them is to close the flow. To follow them is to unlock the blessing. When you step into alignment, something profound happens inside of you. The anxiety that once haunted you begins to fade. The tightness in your chest when you think of money begins to loosen. You no longer see yourself as cursed or unlucky. Instead, you recognize that you were always meant to reign, to prosper, to live in flow with divine provision. Your prayers no longer feel like desperate pleas. They feel like decrees, like commands spoken into law, like seeds that are destined to return as harvest. This is the invitation of the lost Prayer of Solomon. It is not about repeating sacred words without understanding. It is about stepping into the alignment those words carry. It is about shifting your identity, reclaiming your authority, and living as one who has already received. Alignment transforms prayer from ritual to reality, from superstition to law. So pause and ask yourself, am I ready to step into alignment? Am I willing to release fear and claim authority? Am I prepared to live as one who already carries divine inheritance? If your heart stirs, then the answer is yes. And once you answer yes, nothing remains the same. From this point forward, you are not simply someone who prays, you are someone who commands. You are aligned. And when alignment becomes your new normal, abundance follows as naturally as breath. Your voice as a wand, there is a hidden truth that ancient sages, mystics, and spiritual teachers all understood: words are not empty, they are alive. They are frequencies that move through the unseen and return with tangible results. Florence Scovel put it in the simplest yet most profound way. Your word is your wand. She did not speak this metaphor lightly. She meant it literally. Just as a wand directs energy shapes, intention, and manifest form, your words are the spiritual tools that create the blueprint of your life. If this feels exaggerated, pause for a moment and reflect. How many times have you spoken something casually only to see it unfold before you? Perhaps you said, "This always happens to me when misfortune struck," and then it happened again. Perhaps you declared, "I never have enough money," and your reality continued to mirror that declaration. Or maybe you spoke words of faith, "I will succeed, I will overcome, I will prosper," and noticed doors opening almost as if the universe was listening. That is because it was. Words are not random sounds. They are commands issued into the spiritual field. Solomon, known not only for his wisdom, but for his extraordinary favor, embodied this principle. His words carried weight. When he spoke, nations listened. When he decreed, outcomes shifted. He did not speak idly. He spoke with intention, authority, and alignment, and as a result, wealth and influence flowed to him without resistance. The lost prayer attributed to him is built upon this foundation that words spoken from divine authority activate spiritual law and rearrange reality. Modern society has downplayed this truth. Words are treated as casual, harmless, insignificant. People repeat phrases like, "I'm broke," "I'm unlucky," "I can't do this," without realizing they are programming their subconscious and commanding their environment. The universe is obedient. It does not argue. It simply responds to the vibration you release. When you speak lack, lack multiplies. When you speak abundance, abundance answers. Every sentence is a seed, and the harvest is inevitable. This is why alignment and authority are essential. Without them, words lose power. They may sound positive, but if spoken without belief, they are empty echoes. Alignment ensures that the vibration beneath your words matches their intention. Authority ensures that your words are spoken as commands, not suggestions. When these two elements converge, words become unstoppable. They move mountains, open doors, and shift timelines. Florence often gave her students practical exercises in speaking with authority. She instructed them to declare their desires as if they had already manifested. Instead of saying, "I hope for money," they were to say, "Money flows to me freely and continually." Instead of saying, "I wish for success," they were to say, "Success is mine by divine right." The shift may seem small, but spiritually, it is immense. Hope places the blessing in the future. Authority places it in the present. And the subconscious mind only responds to the now. The challenge most people face is that their internal dialogue betrays them. Outwardly, they speak positive affirmations, but inwardly, they rehearse fear. Outwardly, they declare abundance, but inwardly, they whisper doubt. The subconscious mind does not discriminate. It records everything. Every thought, every phrase, every inner conversation becomes part of the frequency you emit. To harness the true power of words, you must align your inner speech with your outer declarations. When both resonate in harmony, the universe has no choice but to deliver. Think of Clara's story. Her life shifted not because she stumbled into luck, but because she changed the words she spoke daily. She stopped begging for scraps and started declaring her inheritance. She wrote the prayer of Solomon in her own hand, spoke it each morning, and allowed those words to saturate her subconscious. Within days, dreams and signs confirmed the alignment, and soon after, her financial reality transformed. Words were the catalyst. Words carried the authority. Words became the key. Now imagine your own life as a field. Every word you speak is a seed planted in that soil. Some seeds sprout quickly, others take time, but all eventually return as harvest. If you plant seeds of lack, fear, and failure, your harvest will mirror them. If you plant seeds of abundance, faith, and victory, your harvest will reflect those instead. The soil does not judge the seed. It simply gives back what you plant. In the same way, divine law does not discriminate between positive or negative declarations. It simply echoes them. This is why you must become intentional with your speech. No more casual declarations of defeat. No more careless words that sabotage your destiny. From this moment forward, treat every word as sacred. Speak with the awareness that your voice is a wand shaping reality in every moment. Speak abundance until it becomes your new normal. Speak favor until it surrounds you. Speak wealth until it flows without resistance. And when you speak, do not whisper with doubt. Declare with certainty. Stand tall, breathe deeply, and let your words carry authority. The Lost Prayer of Solomon was not written for the timid. It was written for those who would dare to remember who they are, those who would speak as heirs of divine inheritance, those who would command abundance instead of chasing it. Your voice carries more power than you realize. Every syllable vibrates in unseen realms. Every declaration reshapes your future. You are not speaking into emptiness, you are speaking into law, and law always responds. So let this truth settle into you. Your word is your wand. Wield it with wisdom. Wield it with faith. Wield it with authority. For the moment you do, your world will begin to reflect the power of your voice, and abundance will no longer be a distant hope. It will be your lived reality. Reprogramming the subconscious. If your words are your wand, then your subconscious mind is the fertile soil where those words take root. Many people do not realize that most of what they experience in life is not shaped by conscious thought, but by the silent programming of the subconscious. The subconscious does not argue, it does not analyze, and it does not discriminate. It accepts whatever is repeatedly spoken, thought, or imagined, and then works tirelessly to make it real. This is why you can speak positive affirmations for a few minutes each morning, but still find yourself struggling with lack. If your subconscious has been saturated for years with fear, guilt, or doubt, a few words of positivity cannot override it. The soil has been conditioned, and until it is reprogrammed, it will continue to yield the same harvest. That is why true transformation requires persistence, consistency, and alignment between conscious declarations and subconscious belief. Florence Scovel explained this clearly when she taught that the subconscious mind is like a recording device. Whatever you speak with, conviction, whether good or bad, is impressed upon it. Once impressed, the subconscious plays it back into your reality with startling accuracy. She called it the law of return, the boomerang effect. Words go out, but they always come back multiplied. If you declare lack, lack returns. If you declare wealth, wealth responds. The problem is that many people are unconsciously reprogramming their subconscious with negative words daily. They say things like, "I can't afford this," "money never comes easily," or "I'm always unlucky." These phrases may feel harmless in the moment, but they are commands, imprints that the subconscious dutifully records and then expresses in reality. Without realizing it, these individuals are aligning themselves with scarcity every time they speak. To reprogram the subconscious, you must first become aware of your words. Listen to yourself throughout the day. Notice the automatic phrases you speak when confronted with challenges. Do you affirm limitation or expansion? Do you react with words of fear or words of faith? Awareness is the first step because you cannot change what you do not notice. The second step is deliberate repetition. The subconscious mind learns through repetition. Just as you learned your name by hearing it daily, your subconscious learns abundance by hearing it daily. This is why affirmations spoken consistently begin to shift internal programming. But repetition alone is not enough. The words must carry emotion. When you declare, "Money flows to me now," you must feel the truth of it. Emotion is the glue that binds words into the subconscious. Without feeling, they pass through unnoticed. Visualization strengthens this process. The subconscious speaks in images, not only in words. When you visualize abundance, seeing money in your hand, imagining opportunities unfolding, feeling the relief of debt erased, you create a vivid picture that the subconscious interprets as real. The more vivid the image, the stronger the impression. Pairing spoken declarations with visualization ensures that both language and imagery align, accelerating reprogramming. The Lost Prayer of Solomon functions as a perfect tool for this process because it is structured as a decree, not a plea. It bypasses doubt and speaks directly to authority. When recited daily, morning and night, It begins to saturate the subconscious with a new code. Over time, the subconscious accepts this code as truth and begins to rearrange reality accordingly. Suddenly, you notice signs, synchronicities, and opportunities you once overlooked. This is not coincidence. It is the subconscious filtering reality to match your new command. Consider the story of Clara once more. For years, her subconscious was filled with silent agreements of lack. She believed wealth was for others, not for her. Every time she checked her empty bank account, that belief deepened. Every time she whispered prayers of desperation, her subconscious recorded scarcity. It wasn't until she began reprogramming her mind with the words of Solomon's prayer that the shift occurred. By repeating it daily, writing it down, and visualizing it, she impressed a new truth upon her subconscious. I align with the abundance that is mine by divine right. Within days, her reality began to echo that new code. What does this mean for you? It means that your future is not bound by your past. No matter how long you have struggled, no matter how many times you have spoken words of lack, you can reprogram your subconscious starting now. The soil of your mind is always ready to receive new seeds. But you must be consistent. You must choose your words carefully and repeat them faithfully until they become second nature. Guard your inner dialogue. Every thought is a prayer. Every phrase is a decree. Speak only what you want multiplied. Replace casual statements of defeat with intentional declarations of victory. When you catch yourself speaking words of lack, correct them immediately. Instead of saying I can't afford this, say I choose to align with greater provision. Instead of saying I'm always unlucky, declare I walk in divine favor. Over time, these corrections add up. They reshape your subconscious, and your subconscious reshapes your world. This is not wishful thinking, it is law. Just as a seed planted in fertile soil must grow, words planted in the subconscious must manifest. The timing may vary, but the outcome is certain. The only question is, what seeds are you planting? If you want a harvest of abundance, plant words of abundance daily. If you desire favor, speak favor. If you long for overflow, declare overflow. Your subconscious is listening. The universe is responding. The only thing missing is your decision to reprogram your inner world with authority, alignment, and persistence. Remember this, your words are the keys, and your subconscious is the lock. The moment you align them, the door opens. And behind that door is the abundance that has been waiting for you all along. Speaking with authority. By now you understand that words are not idle sounds. They are forces that shape the unseen and return with results. But there is a difference between speaking words casually and speaking with authority. Authority is the missing element that transforms prayer from empty ritual into divine command. Without authority, words are like arrows. Without tips, they may fly into the air, but they fail to pierce the target. With authority, every word carries weight, precision, and inevitability. Authority does not come from shouting louder or speaking longer. It is not the volume of your words that matters. It is the conviction behind them. Authority is the posture of the spirit, the recognition that you are not a beggar asking for scraps, but a sovereign child declaring your inheritance. When you speak from this posture, even a single phrase can shift atmospheres. The universe responds, not because you pleaded, but because you commanded in alignment with divine law. Look at the example of Solomon. His wisdom made him famous, but his authority made him powerful. When he decreed wealth and favor followed, he did not plead for prosperity, he aligned with wisdom, and authority carried his words into reality. The same current runs through the lost prayer attributed to him. It is written as a decree, not a request. It does not say, please bring me abundance. It declares, I align with the abundance that is mine by divine right. That difference is everything. Florence Scovel echoed this same truth. She taught that words spoken with hesitation are powerless, but words spoken with authority rearrange circumstances. Authority is the tone of certainty, the vibration of faith, the unshakable knowing that what you declare must manifest. She often instructed her students not to ask for blessings, but to declare them, because asking implies distance, while declaring affirms possession. The problem for many people is that they pray from fear. They whisper words of lack while their heart trembles with anxiety. They ask God to notice them instead of declaring that God has already given them dominion. They plead for money while secretly believing they do not deserve it. This contradiction cancels the authority of their words. The spiritual law does not respond to desperation, it responds to alignment. Speaking with authority requires three things: clarity, conviction, and consistency. Clarity means knowing exactly what you are declaring. Vague words bring vague results. If you say, "I just want more money," the universe may send you a single coin. Authority requires specificity. Declare the amount, the breakthrough, the opportunity as though it already exists. I receive $10,000 in divine timing. I align with the business opportunity prepared for me. Clarity directs the force of your words. Conviction means believing fully in what you say. Authority is hollow if it is not backed by faith. When you declare abundance but doubt fills your heart, the vibration is split. Authority is whole, unwavering, and absolute. Conviction is the deep knowing that what you say is already true. When Solomon spoke, he did not hope he knew. When Florence declared, she did not wonder, she expected. Your words must carry that same certainty. Consistency means repeating the declaration until it saturates your subconscious and becomes reality. Authority is not a one-time event. It is a lifestyle. The lost prayer is powerful, not because it is spoken once, but because it is spoken daily, morning and night, until the vibration becomes your new identity. Every repetition is not begging for what you lack. It is affirming what you already own. To speak with authority also requires rejecting the old habits of speech. No more careless phrases of defeat. No more joking about lack. No more saying "I'm broke" even in passing. Every word is recorded. Every declaration is a seed. Authority demands discipline. Treat your words as sacred and only speak what you want multiplied. Consider again Clara's transformation. The turning point was not merely that she heard the prayer of Solomon, but that she spoke it with authority. She did not whisper it timidly. She declared it boldly with her hand over her heart, as though heaven itself was listening. She felt the vibration in her chest. She believed the words as though they were already true. That is authority. Within days, her reality shifted because the law had no choice but to obey. This is why skeptics are often silenced when they see results in others. They may laugh at the idea of words shaping reality, but authority cannot be denied. When one speaks with authority, signs follow, numbers align, opportunities appear, debts dissolve, skepticism fades in the face of undeniable transformation. Authority also requires obedience to signs. When you speak with authority, the universe will respond with instructions. You may feel prompted to take action, to buy a ticket, to call someone, to step into a new opportunity. Authority is not passive. It demands movement when the signs appear. Ignoring them is to close the flow. Acting on them confirms your alignment. Now pause and ask yourself, do you speak as a beggar or as a sovereign? Do your prayers sound like desperation or like decrees? Do your words carry authority or hesitation? The answers to these questions reveal the posture of your spirit. To step fully into authority, begin now. Stand tall, breathe deeply. Place your hand over your heart and declare, "I align with divine wealth. What is mine cannot be withheld. By spiritual law, abundance flows to me now." Do not whisper it in doubt. Declare it with power. Feel it in your body. Let it resonate in your spirit. Speak it until your subconscious believes it. Speak it until your reality reflects it. Because the truth is this: your authority is the missing link. Once you speak with authority, you are no longer praying in vain. You are commanding the law. You are no longer hoping for scraps. You are declaring overflow. And the universe, exact and obedient, will respond. Preparing the inner temple. Every transformation begins not with the outer world, but with the inner temple of the soul. Before a single word of power is spoken, before a single decree is released into the universe, there must first be alignment within. You cannot declare abundance while vibrating in chaos. You cannot command wealth while carrying the residue of fear, guilt, or doubt. The first step to unlocking the prayer of Solomon is preparing the inner temple, your mind, your heart, and your spirit, for the sacred act of decree. The ancients understood this well. Before kings issued decrees, they entered chambers of stillness. Before prophets spoke words of power, they prepared themselves with silence, prayer, or ritual. Even Solomon, renowned for wisdom and favor, created sacred spaces where the spiritual and physical could align. These were not empty traditions. They were acts of preparation, a clearing of the static that blocks divine frequency. Florence Scovel echoed this principle in her own teachings. She often told her students to clear the mental field before planting new seeds of declaration. Just as a gardener removes weeds before planting crops, the mind must be cleansed of clutter before abundance can take root. Otherwise, old thoughts of lack will choke out new affirmations of wealth. This cleansing is not about perfection, it is about presence. It is about entering into the moment with full attention, releasing yesterday's failures and tomorrow's fears, so that today's decree carries pure power. How do you prepare your inner temple? Begin with stillness. Find a place where you will not be disturbed. Dim the lights. Silence distractions. If you are sensitive to symbols, light a candle, not as superstition, but as a signal to your subconscious that something sacred is about to happen. Close your eyes and breathe deeply. With each breath, release tension. With each exhale, imagine fear dissolving from your body. Whisper silently, "I am present. I am aligned. I am ready." These words may seem simple, but they are a reset. They tell the spirit to focus, the mind to still, and the body to open. This stillness is more powerful than it appears. In a noisy world filled with endless chatter, silence is a weapon. Silence clears static. Silence creates space for divine frequency. When you sit in stillness, you are not emptying yourself into nothing. You are aligning yourself with everything. You are tuning your instrument so that the decree of abundance will resonate with clarity when spoken. Once you have entered this sacred stillness, the second step is cleansing the heart. The heart cannot carry resentment, bitterness, or guilt and expect to vibrate abundance. These emotions are heavy chains that anchor you to scarcity. Release them. Speak forgiveness aloud. I release the past. I forgive myself. I forgive others. I let go of every weight that is not aligned with abundance. This is not for the benefit of others. It is for you. Forgiveness clears the energetic field, allowing prosperity to flow without obstruction. The third step is centering the mind. Begin by visualizing light filling your body, flowing from the top of your head to the soles of your feet. Imagine this light dissolving every shadow of fear or lack. See yourself as radiant, whole, and powerful. Feel the weight of divine inheritance resting upon you. You are not preparing to beg, you are preparing to declare. This visualization strengthens your posture, reminding you that abundance is not something outside of you, but something already alive within you. Clara, whose story we encountered earlier, unknowingly followed this process when she created her sacred corner. She placed a candle, a Bible, and the Prayer of Solomon written in her own hand. Every morning before the sun rose, she lit the candle, closed her eyes, and prepared herself. She forgave the past, centered her mind, and spoke from her heart. That preparation was not wasted effort. It was the very reason her prayer carried authority. She was not reciting words from chaos. She was declaring from alignment. Preparation is often ignored because people are eager for quick results. They want to skip the stillness and move straight to the decree. But without preparation, words lose their sharpness. They scatter instead of striking. They echo instead of piercing. The prepared spirit, however, speaks with clarity, and clarity is irresistible to divine law. Remember this. The universe responds not to frantic noise but to aligned vibration. If your inner temple is chaotic, your outer reality will mirror that chaos. If your inner temple is still clear and ready, your words will cut through the unseen like lightning, igniting transformation almost instantly. So let this be your first daily ritual. Before you speak the lost prayer of Solomon, prepare your inner temple. Sit in stillness, cleanse the heart of resentment, center the mind in light. Align the spirit with authority. Do not rush this step. Treat it as sacred. For when your inner temple is aligned, the words you speak will not merely echo, they will command. This is the preparation that turns prayer into power. It is the silent act that makes the spoken decree unshakable. And when you prepare with reverence, you discover what Solomon and Florence both knew: authority begins within. The inner temple must be aligned before the outer world can shift. Declaring the sacred words. Once the inner temple is prepared, stillness found, the heart cleansed, and the mind aligned, comes the pivotal moment, the speaking of the prayer itself. This is where intention becomes vibration, where invisible authority becomes audible command. Words alone may seem fragile, but when spoken from alignment, they carry the weight of eternity. They are not mere sounds drifting into the air. They are frequencies shaping reality, decrees etched into the fabric of spiritual law. The lost prayer of Solomon is not to be spoken casually. It is not a chant repeated mindlessly. It is a declaration, a spiritual key, and like all keys, its power lies in how it is used. When spoken with reverence and certainty, it unlocks doors that seemed sealed, reveals paths that appeared hidden, and summons wealth, favor, and opportunity into your field of experience. To declare the prayer, begin by speaking it aloud. The voice is essential. Thoughts are powerful, but the spoken word carries vibration that resonates in the unseen. Solomon himself was not known for silent wishing, he was known for speaking with clarity and decree. Florence Scovel emphasized this truth repeatedly. What you decree shall be established. Silent belief creates alignment, but spoken authority creates manifestation. Speak slowly, allowing each syllable to reverberate within you. Do not rush. The power of the prayer is not in its speed, but in its weight. As the words leave, your lips feel them sink into your chest, resonating like sacred tones. Allow the vibration to fill the room. You are not begging heaven, you are commanding law. You are not reciting a ritual, you are activating a frequency. And here is the secret: it is not enough to say the words. You must become the words. As you declare, I align with the abundance that is mine by divine right. Let your body posture shift into authority. Sit or stand tall. Place your hand over your heart. Lift your chin. Let your tone carry certainty. This physical embodiment amplifies the vibrations, signaling to your subconscious and to the spiritual field that you mean what you speak. Visualization intensifies the act. As you declare the prayer, close your eyes and see it already fulfilled. Imagine money flowing like water. See numbers aligning in your favor. Feel the weight of gold in your hands. Picture doors opening, opportunities arriving, blessings unfolding. The subconscious does not distinguish between imagined and real. It responds to whatever you vividly feel. When you visualize while declaring, you create an undeniable imprint, a spiritual blueprint that reality must eventually match. Repetition anchors the prayer deeper into your subconscious. Speak it 3 times in the morning and 3 times at night. Do not treat this as superstition. 3 is the rhythm of emphasis, the vibration of completeness. Each repetition is not begging for a result. It is reinforcing alignment. By the 2nd or 3rd recitation, you will feel the words settling into your spirit, no longer foreign, but familiar, no longer hope, but certainty. Clara's testimony illustrates this truth. When she first encountered the lost prayer, she did not whisper it timidly. She wrote it in her own hand, then stood in her small room each dawn and declared it boldly. She did not rush through the words. She spoke them as though the universe was standing at attention. With each declaration, she felt her spirit rise, her chest warm, her doubts dissolve. Within days, her reality began to echo the vibration she carried. This was not chance. It was law responding to spoken authority. Many people stumble at this stage because they confuse declaration with desperation. They say the words nervously, as though hoping the prayer will work. But hope is not authority. Hope places the blessing in the future. Authority brings it into the now. Speak the prayer, not as one wishing for change, but as one announcing what has already shifted. Speak as a king issuing decree, not as a beggar pleading for crumbs. It is also important to treat the prayer as sacred. Do not recite it mindlessly while distracted. Do not rush through it as part of a checklist. Treat it as holy ground. When you speak, silence other noises. Let the words be the only vibration filling the space. Whisper it before sleep, when your subconscious is most receptive. Declare it at dawn when the day is still pure. Let it saturate your mornings and nights until it becomes the rhythm of your being. Some may ask, how quickly will results appear? The answer depends not on the prayer, but on the depth of your alignment. For some, the shift is immediate, a dream, a sign, a financial windfall. For others, it unfolds gradually, layer by layer, as old subconscious programming is rewritten. But in every case, the law responds. Authority never goes unanswered. The only variable is how fully you embody the decree. So speak the sacred words. Speak them boldly, clearly, reverently. Allow them to echo, not only in your room but in your spirit. Declare them until they feel natural, until they flow through you as easily as breath. This is not superstition. This is not magic. This is law. And once you declare with authority, the law begins to work in your favor, rearranging circumstances, aligning opportunities, and unlocking the abundance that has always been yours. The lost prayer of Solomon is not waiting for your fear, it is waiting for your authority. The moment you speak it as a decree, your reality will know it has no choice but to change. Anchoring through daily practice, speaking the lost prayer of Solomon is powerful, but its true transformation unfolds through repetition, consistency, and embodiment. One declaration may stir your spirit, but daily practice engraves the prayer into your subconscious until it becomes not something you say, but something you live. To anchor abundance into your reality, the prayer must become rhythm, ritual, and lifestyle. Think of it as watering a seed. One drop of water may refresh it, but only consistent watering allows it to grow. In the same way, the lost prayer plants seeds of abundance in your spirit. Repeating it daily nourishes those seeds until they break through the soil of old limitations and blossom into prosperity. Without practice, the seeds remain dormant. With practice, they flourish. The ancients understood this principle well. Solomon himself spoke often of discipline and daily devotion. He knew wisdom was not gained in a single moment, but through repeated meditation, declaration, and alignment. Florence Scovel also taught this truth. She instructed her students to repeat affirmations daily, morning and night, until their subconscious fully absorbed them. You cannot plant a seed once and expect a harvest, she said. You must water it with words of faith until it becomes reality. Daily practice is not about striving. It is not about forcing results. It is about alignment. Every repetition reprograms the subconscious, chisels away fear, and strengthens the vibration of authority. Over time, the prayer becomes so natural that it flows from your lips without effort, and when it does, it carries unstoppable power. To anchor the prayer through daily practice, begin with a ritual of consistency. Choose specific times to speak it at dawn and before sleep. These moments are powerful because the subconscious is most receptive when waking and when drifting into rest. At these times, the veil between conscious and subconscious thins, making your words penetrate more deeply. Declare the prayer slowly, 3 times, allowing each word to sink into your spirit. Writing strengthens the anchor. After speaking the prayer, write it in a dedicated journal. Let this become your book of manifestation. Each entry records not only the prayer, but also your affirmations, your desires written in present tense, and any signs or synchronicities you observe. Writing impresses the subconscious differently than speaking. It engraves the truth more permanently, making it harder for doubt to erase. Visualization further deepens the practice. After declaring and writing, close your eyes and imagine abundance flowing. See the numbers aligning. Feel the relief of debt erased, the joy of provision. Receive the freedom of overflow. Do not imagine it as distant, see it as now. Feel gratitude as though it has already manifested. Gratitude is a magnet. It anchors the unseen into the seen. The more you practice gratitude alongside the prayer, the faster the results appear. Embodiment is the final anchor. It is not enough to speak abundance, you must live as though it is true. This does not mean reckless spending or false appearances. It means carrying yourself with confidence, generosity, and joy. Dress as though you already walk in favor. Smile as though provision is certain. Treat your possessions with care as a steward of greater wealth. When your body and behavior align with your declarations, you send a clear signal to the universe, I believe. I am ready. I am living in my inheritance now. Clara understood this intuitively. She did not simply speak the prayer once and forget it. She made it her daily practice. Each morning before sunrise, she lit a candle, spoke the prayer, wrote affirmations in her journal, and embodied the feeling of wealth. She smiled, walked with confidence, and carried gratitude in her heart. Within days, she noticed signs. Within weeks, her reality shifted. Her practice anchored the prayer so deeply that it rewired her entire perspective, and her perspective rewired her world. Skeptics often dismiss this process, asking, can words and ritual really change reality? But daily practice is not superstition, it is alignment with law. Just as gravity responds whether you believe in it or not, divine law responds to consistent declaration and embodiment. It is not about convincing the universe, it is about convincing yourself. Once your subconscious accepts the prayer as truth, reality must reflect it. There will be days when doubt tries to interrupt the practice. There will be mornings when you feel tired, evenings when you feel defeated, moments when you wonder if it is working. These are the most important times to continue. Faith is not proven in comfort, but in persistence. Every time you declare in the face of doubt, you engrave the prayer deeper into your spirit. Every time you practice, in the midst of struggle, you strengthen your authority. Remember, these miracles are not accidents, they are the result of alignment. And alignment is the fruit of daily practice. If you will commit to consistency, if you will anchor the prayer morning and night, if you will write, visualize, and embody abundance, your reality will have no choice but to transform. The Lost Prayer of Solomon is not meant to be a passing inspiration. It is meant to be a daily decree, a lifelong anchor, a spiritual rhythm that reprograms your world. Anchor it through practice, and soon abundance will no longer feel like a dream. It will feel like the only natural way to live. When the universe speaks back, once you begin to declare the Lost Prayer of Solomon daily, something remarkable starts to happen. The world around you begins to respond. Subtle shifts, strange patterns, and unexpected moments start to unfold, as though reality itself is whispering back to you. These are not coincidences, they are confirmations. They are the universe's language of signs and synchronicities, a dialogue between your declarations and divine law. For many, this is the most thrilling stage of the journey. After years of feeling ignored in prayer, they suddenly notice that the world feels alive, interactive, responsive. Numbers repeat on clocks and receipts: 1111 777 8888. Dreams become vivid with symbols, keys, doors, golden light. Conversations overheard on the street carry phrases that answer questions you had only thought silently. These are not accidents. They are responses to your authority. Florence Scovel often said that once you begin aligning your words with divine law, the universe rushes to rearrange itself. She meant that reality becomes malleable, bending to reflect the new vibration you carry. Signs are the first evidence of that shift. They are divine breadcrumbs guiding you toward your breakthrough, reminding you that your decree has been heard. But here is the secret. Signs do not create alignment, they confirm it. Many people chase signs hoping for proof before they believe. But that is not how spiritual law operates. Belief must come first, then the signs follow. Just as a seed sprouts after it is planted, signs appear after declarations are made. They are not the cause of faith, they are the fruit of it. The mistake some make is dismissing these signs as coincidences. They notice repeating numbers, but laugh them off. They dream of symbols, but ignore their meaning. They feel nudges to act, but hesitate in doubt. In doing so, they close the flow. Signs are not meant to be analyzed endlessly. They are meant to be obeyed. A repeated number may signal timing. A dream may reveal direction. A nudge may point to opportunity. Ignoring them delays the manifestation. Acting on them accelerates it. Clara's story shows this beautifully. After days of declaring the prayer, she dreamt of the number 888 glowing above a golden door. When she woke, her chest buzzed with warmth, a physical confirmation that something had shifted. Later that day, she felt an unusual pull toward the lottery stand in her market. She had never bought tickets before, but she obeyed the nudge. That single act of obedience aligned her with a financial breakthrough that erased years of debt. The dream, the number, the nudge, all were signs. Had she dismissed them, her story might have been different. Signs are not limited to numbers or dreams. They can appear as sudden opportunities, unexpected conversations, even delays that redirect you to something better. The key is awareness. Train yourself to notice patterns, to pay attention to recurring symbols, to listen when your intuition stirs. The more attentive you become, the louder the universe speaks. This is why preparation and practice matter. A mind cluttered with fear cannot recognize signs. A heart weighed down by bitterness cannot hear divine whispers. But when your inner temple is clear and your words are spoken with authority, you become sensitive to the language of the universe. What once seemed random now feels orchestrated. What once felt silent now speaks volumes. It is important to remember that not every sign will make sense immediately. Some are seeds of confirmation that reveal their meaning later. Others are invitations to step out in faith without full understanding. Authority is not about knowing every detail. It is about trusting the process. When the signs appear, respond with confidence, even if you do not see the full picture. The universe does not reveal everything at once. It reveals enough for your next step. Florence told her students that signs were the footprints of your decree in the invisible. They are the first movements of manifestation, evidence that reality is rearranging itself around your authority. Treat them with reverence. Record them in your journal. Reflect on them often. Let them fuel your faith when doubt tries to creep back. Signs are the conversation between you and divine law. They remind you that you are not alone, that the universe is listening, that your words carry weight. And the more you notice them, the more they multiply. Awareness is magnetism. Gratitude amplifies them. Obedience unlocks them. So when the universe begins to speak back through numbers, dreams, nudges, or opportunities, do not dismiss it. Lean into it. Say aloud, I receive the sign. I align with its meaning. I act on its guidance. This simple response opens the flow wider. The signs become not just whispers, but shouts, not just hints, but confirmations, until your reality fully mirrors your decree. The truth is, signs are not rare. They are constant. The difference is whether you notice them. Once you begin speaking the prayer of Solomon with authority, you will see them everywhere, because everywhere is responding to you. Interpreting and acting on divine guidance, noticing signs, is only the beginning. True transformation comes when you interpret them correctly and act with confidence. Too often, people receive clear guidance, yet hesitate, waiting for more proof, or they overanalyze until the meaning slips away. Signs are not given for endless debate. They are given for direction. Their purpose is not to satisfy curiosity, but to prompt alignment and action. Think of signs as the universe's way of speaking your language. They meet you where you are, using images, numbers, feelings, and events that resonate personally with your spirit. A repeated number might appear to one person as confirmation of abundance, while to another, it signals timing or completion. A dream of doors may tell one person to expect opportunity, while another is reminded to step through a threshold already presented. Signs are precise, but their interpretation is tailored. What matters is not what they mean in general, but what they mean to you in your present alignment. The mistake many make is looking outside for interpretation before listening within. They rush to search books, websites, or other people's opinions instead of pausing to ask their own spirit. But the truth is, the sign was given to you because your subconscious already holds the key to its meaning. Divine law does not play riddles. It delivers signs that your heart can understand if you quiet the noise long enough to hear. Florence Scovel often reminded her students that intuition is the interpreter of signs. She taught them to sit in stillness, place their hand over their heart, and simply ask, "What does this mean for me?" Almost always, the first impression that arose was the correct one. Doubt and overthinking usually followed after, but the first inner knowing was the purest guidance. This is because intuition is the voice of alignment, while doubt is the echo of fear. Once you interpret a sign, the second step is action. Signs lose power if ignored. A nudge to call someone may open a door to opportunity. A repeated number may signal the perfect moment to make a decision. A dream may encourage you to release fear and take a leap. Ignoring these prompts delays your alignment. Acting on them accelerates it. Signs are not given for observation, they are given for obedience. Clara's story is a perfect example. She could have dismissed her dream of 888 as meaningless. She could have laughed off the strange pull she felt toward the lottery stand. Instead, she trusted her interpretation. Abundance was calling and acted. That single act of obedience shifted her financial reality. Had she ignored the sign, the prayer would still have been powerful, but the timing of her breakthrough might have been delayed. This is where faith and authority intersect. Acting on signs does not mean you always understand them fully. It means you trust the process. A repeated number may not reveal the entire future, but it tells you the next step. Authority is not about knowing every detail. It is about declaring and acting in alignment with what is revealed. Signs provide direction, not completion. They show the path one step at a time. Another mistake is waiting for perfect clarity before moving. Many people paralyze themselves by demanding more signs, more proof, more assurance. But the universe rarely gives all at once. It reveals just enough to test your faith. When you act on small signs, larger ones follow. When you prove your trust, more clarity unfolds. If you wait until you know everything, you may never move at all. Practical application can help. Keep a sign journal. Each time you notice a synchronicity, whether a dream number, nudge, or unusual event, write it down. Then write your first impression of its meaning, even if it feels uncertain. Over time, you will see patterns emerge. The more you record and reflect, the more confident you become in interpreting. And the more confident you are, the easier it becomes to act without hesitation. Always pair signs with gratitude. When you notice one, pause and say aloud, "Thank you for this confirmation. I receive it and I act on it." Gratitude anchors the sign in your spirit and amplifies the flow. The universe responds not only to recognition, but to appreciation. Gratitude multiplies guidance, making the signs louder and clearer with each step. Remember also that signs are not bribes or tricks. They are not given to make you feel special or chosen above others. They are evidence that you are aligned with divine law. They are reminders that the universe is listening and responding. They are invitations to step into deeper authority. Treat them with reverence, but do not worship them. The sign is not the source. It is the echo of the source. So how do you interpret and act on divine guidance? By listening inwardly, trusting your intuition, recording what you receive, and obeying without hesitation. Do not demand to see the whole staircase. Take the step revealed. Speak the prayer daily, watch for the whispers of confirmation, and move when they appear. This is how you turn prayer into partnership, decree into dialogue, and signs into manifestation. Because in truth, the universe is always speaking. The question is not whether signs exist. The question is whether you are willing to see them, believe them, and act upon them. And once you do, you will discover that every step of your journey is guided, every action confirmed, and every breakthrough preceded by signs that said, "This is the way. Walk in it." Coincidence or confirmation? One of the greatest struggles people face when signs begin to appear is the nagging voice of doubt. They notice the repeating numbers, the dream symbols, the unusual nudges, but almost immediately their mind asks, what if this is just coincidence? It is a fair question, but it comes from a misunderstanding of how divine law operates. Coincidence is randomness. Confirmation is resonance. And when you walk in alignment, resonance is the rule, not the exception. To the unawakened eye, everything looks random. Life seems like a series of disconnected events, some good, some bad, most ordinary. But once you begin declaring the lost prayer of Solomon, with authority, patterns emerge. The same number appears in different places. The same word echoes in multiple conversations. Dreams align with waking signs. Suddenly, what seemed random forms a tapestry of synchronicity too precise to dismiss. That is not coincidence. That is confirmation. Florence Scovel described it as the boomerang of the word. She taught that whatever you declare with conviction is sent out into the universe and inevitably returns in form. The signs along the way are simply the first ripples of that return. They confirm that the decree has been released and is already working. To call them coincidence is to ignore the evidence that your words have weight. The skeptical mind loves to reduce everything to chance. It says, "Of course you saw 777. You've been thinking about numbers, so you notice them more." Or, "That dream was just your imagination." But faith sees deeper. Faith understands that the subconscious and the universe are in constant dialogue, and when alignment is present, the dialogue becomes undeniable. What the skeptic calls coincidence, the awakened call confirmation. And the results that follow prove the difference. Clara herself faced this battle. After dreaming of 888, she almost dismissed it. It was only a dream, she thought, but the warmth in her chest refused to let her ignore it. Then when she felt the pull toward the lottery stand, doubt whispered, "This is silly, don't waste your money." Yet, she obeyed. And that obedience turned what could have been dismissed as coincidence into a miracle of confirmation. The dream, the number, the nudge, they were never random. They were signposts pointing to her breakthrough. The key to discerning coincidence from confirmation lies in alignment. Coincidences are fleeting, disconnected, and carry no weight in the spirit. Confirmations, however, resonate. They stir your chest, they repeat in patterns, they connect to your prayer, and they demand your attention. A coincidence may be ignored and forgotten. A confirmation lingers until you acknowledge it. Another difference is fruit. Coincidence leads nowhere. Confirmation, when obeyed, leads to breakthrough. A sign ignored remains only a whisper, but a sign acted upon opens doors. This is why interpretation and obedience matter so deeply. A repeating number may seem trivial until you follow the nudge it signals, and suddenly opportunity arrives. A dream may feel like imagination until you act in alignment with its message, and suddenly provision appears. What begins as just a coincidence proves itself to be confirmation by its results. Florence encouraged her students to adopt what she called the faith lens. Instead of dismissing synchronicities, they were to assume alignment. She urged them to treat every repeating sign as confirmation until proven otherwise. Why? Because faith itself is a magnet. To dismiss a sign weakens your vibration. To accept it strengthens alignment. By choosing to see confirmation instead of coincidence, you amplify the law's response. The more you honor signs, the more signs appear until your life becomes a symphony of synchronicities. Practical steps can help. When you notice something unusual, pause. Ask your spirit, is this a sign for me? Pay attention to how your body feels. A warmth in the chest, a sudden peace, or a deep sense of knowing often confirms alignment. Record the experience in your journal. Over time, patterns will emerge that prove these moments were not random. This practice trains your mind to recognize confirmation instead of dismissing it. It is also important to guard against obsession. Some fall into the trap of chasing signs, endlessly demanding confirmation after confirmation before they act. This creates paralysis. Remember, signs are not the destination, they are the compass. They point you forward but cannot carry you. Action, not endless observation, brings the breakthrough. Use signs as confirmation but let faith lead the way. So is it coincidence or confirmation? The difference lies in your posture. To the fearful, it is coincidence. To the aligned, it is confirmation. And the law always delivers according to your belief. If you choose to dismiss the signs, they will fade. If you choose to honor them, they will multiply. The truth is this: nothing in your life is random. Every encounter, every dream, every nudge carries potential meaning. The universe is constantly in dialogue with you. The only question is whether you will listen. When you pray with authority, when you align with divine law, coincidences cease to exist. Everything becomes confirmation. Everything becomes guidance. Everything becomes proof that your words are shaping reality. And once you embrace this truth, you no longer wonder if the system works. You know it works because everywhere you turn, you see its evidence. Numbers, dreams, conversations, opportunities, all of them whisper the same message. Your decree has been heard. Your harvest is on its way. Abundance as your natural state. There comes a moment in every spiritual journey when the practice is no longer just a practice. It becomes identity. What once felt like ritual now feels like rhythm. What once felt like effort now feels like ease. This is the point where the Lost Prayer of Solomon has done its deeper work, not only rearranging circumstances, but reprogramming the soul. At this stage, abundance is no longer a hope, a dream, or even a miracle. It is simply your new normal. For most of life, you may have been conditioned to see scarcity as the norm. Perhaps you grew up hearing phrases like, "Money doesn't grow on trees," "Life is hard," or "Only a few people ever get ahead." Those phrases, repeated in homes, schools, and workplaces, became programming. They taught you to expect struggle. They trained you to normalize lack. And so you carried those subconscious agreements into adulthood, unconsciously manifesting what you had been taught to believe. But the truth is far older and far deeper. You were never created for lack. Scarcity is not your inheritance. Struggle is not your birthright. From the beginning, you were designed for flow, favor, and fruitfulness. The universe itself testifies to this. The sun rises daily without fail. Rivers flow ceaselessly. Trees bear fruit in abundance, not in scarcity. Nature is a picture of divine order, and in that order, there is no lack, only overflow. If creation itself vibrates abundance, why should your life be the exception? Florence Scovel was relentless in reminding her students of this truth. She taught them to stop identifying with lack and to start identifying with divine substance. She often declared, "I do not limit God by seeing limitation." Her message was simple: abundance is the reality, limitation is the illusion. And the moment you stop agreeing with the illusion, the reality of abundance emerges naturally. Living abundance as your new normal means shifting from survival mode into sovereignty. It means no longer waking each morning with the tightness of fear in your chest, wondering if there will be enough. Instead, you rise with the expectation of overflow, confident that provision will arrive in ways seen and unseen. You no longer ask, "Will money come?" You simply know, "Money is flowing to me now." That knowing becomes your atmosphere, and the atmosphere creates your reality. But how do you anchor this shift so that abundance truly becomes natural? It begins with your identity. Stop calling yourself broke, unlucky, or struggling. Those labels are agreements with scarcity. Begin calling yourself favored, chosen, and prosperous. Even before the evidence arrives, claim the identity of abundance, because identity precedes manifestation. You do not wait to see the fruit before calling the tree fruitful. You name it first, and then the harvest appears. The second key is consistency. The daily practice of declaring, writing, visualizing, and embodying the prayer trains your subconscious to accept abundance as truth. At first, it may feel like effort, like reminding yourself of something you cannot yet see, but over time, the effort becomes automatic. Just as a musician no longer thinks about each note, after years of practice, you will no longer need to force affirmations. They will flow naturally from your lips, because abundance will have become your default setting. The third key is gratitude. Gratitude is the fuel that sustains abundance. When you treat every blessing, no matter how small, as evidence of overflow, you multiply it. Gratitude tells the universe, "I recognize the flow, and I am ready for more." People who live in scarcity often miss their miracles because they dismiss them as too small. But those who live in abundance recognize every provision as confirmation. They say, "Thank you for the unexpected check, the discounted bill, the free meal, the encouraging word." And in doing so, they magnetize greater blessings. Clara's life after her breakthrough shows how abundance becomes normal. Winning the lottery was not the end of her story. It was the beginning of a new way of living. She no longer prayed timid prayers of desperation. She declared daily decrees of abundance. She walked with confidence shared generously and taught others the principles she had learned. Her external wealth was only a reflection of her internal transformation. She had stepped into alignment so fully that scarcity no longer felt familiar. Abundance had become her new normal. This is where the journey leads you, not to a one-time miracle, but to a lifetime of flow. not to a fleeting blessing, but to a permanent shift. Abundance as normal does not mean you will never face challenges, but it means that challenges no longer shake your faith. When unexpected bills appear, you do not panic. You declare, provision is already on its way. When opportunities seem delayed, you do not despair. You say timing is aligning for my highest good. When others are gripped by fear, you remain anchored in faith. That is the power of making abundance your normal. So pause now and ask yourself, which reality feels more familiar, scarcity, or abundance? Which atmosphere do you wake up in each morning? Which identity do you carry in your heart? If the answer is still scarcity, then the invitation is clear. Continue the practice until the shift takes root. Speak the prayer daily. Record the signs faithfully. Embody abundance intentionally. Until one day you will look around and realize that what once felt extraordinary is now ordinary. What once felt miraculous is now natural. This is the promise of the lost prayer of Solomon. Not a fleeting miracle, but a lasting transformation. Not a rare blessing, but a new identity. Abundance is not a visitor in your life. It is your inheritance. And once you receive it, once you live it, once you breathe it, lack will feel like the illusion it always was. The responsibility of prosperity. When abundance becomes your new normal, it comes with a deeper truth. Prosperity is not merely for you, it is entrusted to you. Wealth is not an idol to hoard, but a river to flow. Just as the sun does not shine only for itself, and rivers do not flow only for their own sake, abundance in your life is meant to overflow, blessing others as much as it blesses you. This is the responsibility of prosperity. Solomon, often remembered for his unmatched wisdom, was also entrusted with immense wealth. But his prosperity was never designed to serve himself alone. He built temples, expanded cities, and brought peace to his people. His wealth was stewardship, not selfishness. The same law applies today. When the universe entrusts you with abundance, it is an invitation to become a steward, a channel through which divine provision can circulate into the world. Florence Scovel echoed this principle. She warned against clinging to wealth with fear or greed, teaching instead that money should move freely. She often told her students, "I give freely, and life gives back to me freely." In her view, generosity was not a loss, but an amplifier. To withhold was to block the flow. To give was to multiply it. When prosperity is seen as responsibility, generosity becomes natural. This is why many people experience sudden financial breakthroughs but quickly lose them. Without alignment to responsibility, abundance slips away. They treat prosperity as a possession rather than a partnership, hoarding instead of circulating, fearing loss instead of trusting flow. But those who understand stewardship anchor their abundance. They know that money is energy, and energy must move. They give, they invest, they serve, and as they do, the flow continues without interruption. The responsibility of prosperity also means redefining its purpose. Abundance is not simply about living in comfort, though comfort is part of it. It is about creating expansion in your life, your family, your community, and the world. To prosper is to build, to uplift, to empower. Prosperity allows you to support causes that matter, to fund dreams that bless others, to provide opportunities that change lives. Wealth in the hands of the aligned becomes a tool for restoration, healing, and transformation. Clara embodied this shift after her breakthrough. She could have used her winnings only for herself, erasing debt and living in comfort, but she chose more. She repaired her home, yes, but she also blessed her children, donated to her church, and quietly helped neighbors in need. Her abundance expanded beyond her own life, and as she gave, more opportunities for prosperity followed. She discovered that wealth is not reduced when shared, it multiplies. Responsibility also means guarding against guilt. Many people unconsciously sabotage prosperity because they feel unworthy of it, or because they fear that to prosper is to take from others. This is a false belief. Divine law is not a pie with limited slices. One person's abundance does not mean another's lack. Prosperity is infinite, sourced from the same flow that sustains the sun and stars. To feel guilty for abundance is to misunderstand its nature. Your role is not to question why you receive, but to align, to steward, and to circulate. The responsibility of prosperity also demands wisdom. Wealth without wisdom can be destructive. This is why Solomon asked for wisdom first, not riches. He knew that without wisdom, riches become a curse rather than a blessing. Wisdom guides you to use abundance in ways that build instead of waste, uplift instead of oppress, expand instead of contract. Wisdom teaches you to balance enjoyment with generosity, to invest in the future while blessing the present. So how do you embrace the responsibility of prosperity? Begin by shifting your perspective. See yourself not only as a receiver but as a steward. Each dollar, each opportunity, each blessing is energy entrusted to your care. Ask yourself daily, how can I circulate this? How can I bless others with this? How can I expand the flow rather than restrict it? When you live this way, prosperity deepens. It becomes not only financial, but spiritual, emotional, and relational. Generosity is your greatest tool. Give freely without fear. It may be money, time, encouragement, or resources. Whatever you give with joy multiplies. The universe mirrors your openness. When you bless others, you align more deeply with the law of abundance, and more is entrusted to you. Remember, rivers that stop flowing become stagnant. Prosperity that is hoarded loses its vitality. But prosperity that circulates grows stronger. This is the higher calling of abundance. Not only to live in comfort, but to become a channel of blessing. To be the one who lifts others' funds, dreams, and demonstrates that prosperity is not selfishness but service. When you embrace this responsibility, you prove to the universe that you are ready for more, and more always comes. So ask yourself now, how will you steward the abundance entrusted to you? How will you expand the flow, bless the world, and honor the law of circulation? For when you align with the responsibility of prosperity, you not only secure your own abundance, you become a light, a vessel, a living testimony of what it means to reign in divine wealth, stepping fully into divine inheritance. There comes a point in every journey where knowledge must become decision. You have heard the truths, spoken the words, and seen the signs. You have felt the stirrings in your spirit, the confirmations in your reality, the whispers of abundance calling your name. Now the choice stands before you. Will you remain in the old patterns of lack, or will you step fully into your divine inheritance? The Lost Prayer of Solomon is more than a collection of sacred words. It is an invitation. It invites you to stop living as a seeker and to begin living as a receiver. It calls you to shift from hoping to knowing, from pleading to declaring, from waiting for miracles to embodying them. It is not a tool to be used once in desperation. It is a key to be carried daily, unlocking doors until abundance is no longer the exception, but the essence of your life. Divine inheritance is not something you earn, it is something you remember. You were created for flow, favor, and fruitfulness. Struggle, scarcity, and fear were never your true portion. They were illusions impressed upon you by a world that forgot its source. The moment you reclaim your authority, the illusions dissolve. You see yourself not as powerless, but as powerful. Not as unlucky, but as chosen. Not as a beggar at the gates of heaven, but as an heir to the kingdom of divine wealth. But stepping fully into inheritance requires decision. Many hesitate here. They feel the call, but resist the responsibility. They long for abundance, but fear its implications. They believe the truth intellectually, but struggle to embody it. This hesitation keeps them trapped in limbo, half in faith, half in fear. Yet spiritual law is exact. It mirrors what you embody. Indecision manifests delay. Hesitation manifests stagnation. Only decision manifests breakthrough. Florence Scovel was clear on this point. She told her students, "You must act as if it were impossible to fail." To her, hesitation was the language of doubt, but decision was the language of authority. The moment you decide, the universe moves. The moment you declare, "I am no longer a seeker, I am a receiver," everything aligns to mirror that decision. It is not your words alone that unlock inheritance. It is your choice to stand in them as truth. Clara's story again reminds us of this principle. The turning point was not just the dream of 888, not just the feeling in her chest. It was her decision to act. She could have dismissed the signs, silenced the prayer, and returned to old patterns. But she chose differently. She declared with authority, acted in faith, and stepped into her inheritance. That decision opened the floodgates. Her abundance was not luck, it was law activated by choice. So what about you? The prayer has been revealed, the principles have been taught, the steps have been laid out, the signs are already appearing. The only question remaining is whether you will decide. Will you claim your inheritance boldly, or will you shrink back into the familiar comfort of scarcity? To step fully into inheritance, 3 commitments are required. First, you must commit to identity, to see yourself as favored, chosen, and prosperous. Second, you must commit to practice, to speak, write, visualize, and embody the prayer daily until it becomes second nature. Third, you must commit to responsibility, to steward your abundance with wisdom and generosity, allowing the flow to expand beyond your own life. These 3 commitments anchor you in inheritance and ensure that abundance remains your new normal. And let this truth strengthen you. Stepping into inheritance does not mean you will never face challenges. It means challenges will no longer define you. Scarcity may try to whisper, fear may try to return, but your identity will silence them. You will declare, "I reign by divine right. What is mine cannot be withheld. Abundance flows to me now, and reality will obey, because law has no choice but to mirror authority." The universe is waiting for your decision. The prayer is waiting for your voice. The inheritance is waiting for your claim. This is not a distant possibility. It is your present reality waiting to be activated. So stand tall. Place your hand over your heart. Speak aloud with all the authority of your spirit. I am no longer a seeker. I am a receiver. By divine law, I align with my inheritance now. Abundance is my new normal. What is mine cannot be withheld. I reign in wisdom, in favor, and in prosperity. Let these words be more than sentences. Let them be the contract you sign with your future. Let them be the seal that closes the door on lack and opens the gates to overflow. Because the truth is, your days of scarcity are over. Your season of overflow has begun. You are stepping fully into divine inheritance. And once you do nothing, no fear, no doubt, no circumstance can take it from you. Now that you've heard the prayer, seen the signs, and discovered the principles, the next step is yours. Will you step fully into your divine inheritance? Will you claim the abundance that has always been your birthright? Remember, knowledge becomes power only when acted upon. Speak the prayer, embody the principles, and watch your reality transform. Every choice you make today shapes your destiny. If this video awakens something within you, like, share, and subscribe to continue this journey of wisdom and abundance. And most importantly, step into your inheritance. The universe is waiting for you.